Hello, Hamilton. It's that time again. Get up, get off the couch, and start tackling your own to-do lists at home. I am Bob Asadorian. Welcome to the Just Ask Bob show. I'll be your host today. On today's show, we have a prop, and I've put a lot of effort into creating this prop. We're going to give you a complete rundown on your soffits, your ventilation. On a future show, we're going to talk about shingling. We're also going to talk about drip edge. I want to thank you, Hamilton. Make a special note here. I wouldn't be able to produce and create these shows if it wasn't for your emails. And we get a lot of them. Everything from soffit ventilation that we're going to talk about today's show to roofing shingles on a future show, how to repair the roof on another future show, eaves troughs, downspouts. You keep pouring in those emails, and I'm going to keep creating exciting shows for you. Again, I've always talked about this in the past. The two key aspects of the Just Ask Bob show: education, knowledge is power. Remember that, Hamilton. And number two, we're going to try to have some fun at it while we're doing it in order to put together a creative show that's going to really teach you how to get up, get off the couch, and start tackling your own to-do list. Let's start with an email that we received some time ago. Dear Bob, I'm looking at having aluminum soffits installed around my home. The soffit that is there now is made out of wood. Bob, should I cut holes into the wood before covering it with the aluminum soffit? Mrs. Vespa, Hamilton, Ontario. Well, thank you, Ms. Vespa, for the question. And yes, we are going to show you on this show how to do that. Now, let's take a moment to go over some of the properties of how your home is put together. Now, again, I went to a lot of effort with this prop to try to give you a real good breakdown. Now, here we have the fascia on your home. Don't mind the bullet holes. We're having some fun with the air gun. So every fascia board is made out of wood. Now, on older Hamilton homes, it's just been painted. That's the actual finish. Homes constructed in the last 15 to 20 years, they have aluminum capping. So again, always remember these terminologies. Fascia board, as in face, being on the front. Soffit. Soffit's what's underneath. So the soffit underneath, in old Hamilton homes, it's made out of wood, most often plywood. And again, unless somebody's updated it or it's a home constructed in the last 15 to 20 years, it would have aluminum soffit on it. Now, this is very, very important, as we're going to show you throughout the show. This is what's going to keep your shingles lasting, what's going to keep proper air temperature inside of the attic space. You have to have ventilation. So just like I read to you from the email, their home doesn't have aluminum on it. It's simply got the wood board. So they're worried about covering it directly with the soffit. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to show you how to make sure that it ends up being ventilated.
Welcome to Inside City of Hamilton. I'm Kat Cullen. Our city is steeped in rich history, and it's played a key role in many defining moments throughout the decades. Today, I'm going to be taking a tour of Burlington Heights, where Dundurn Castle currently stands.
This is a really neat site, Burlington Heights, the land that we're on, because it does have a very long history of use. We have evidence of people being here for at least the last 10,000 years. They would have been traveling around with the seasons, so following abundant or available resources. We also have evidence of people being on the land about 2,000 years ago, what we refer to as the Middle Woodland time period. More recently, so immediately before and around the time that Richard Beasley was occupying this land, we know that the Mississauga First Nations were using Burlington Heights. But because they were following the seasonal route, because they were moving around, they were trading, they didn't erect permanent monuments above ground on Burlington Heights. So we know they were here for thousands of years, First Nations people, but their monuments aren't quite as grand or as obvious as what the Europeans were setting up. So that's when we find items archaeologically.
Well, archaeology has been done going back to the early 1980s, but the major Dundurn Castle archaeological project work goes back to 1991. One project was to find the summer kitchen that Richard Beasley had built after the War of 1812. Other features that relate to the military include finding the earthworks on this side of York Boulevard.
Earthwork is most commonly defined as an earthen structure built for military purposes. It can include moats, trenches, or berms.
Earthworks are great things to set up as fortification because you can set them up very quickly. They're fairly easy and they're quite inexpensive.
The landscape in the cemetery, the primary features of import anyway, are the earthworks that still exist today. And the major earthwork there is called the first line of defense.
The landscape here at Dundurn Castle has changed greatly over the years and was very much affected by the arrival of the British Army.
When the British came along, they militarized the landscape. Basically, they dug things up, they abused and used croplands. The British were interested in a defensive position. They could build earthworks across the narrow heights itself, using the very steep sides and the earthworks in depth to defend this site effectively. So features of Richard Beasley, the British Army, as well as First Nations peoples, all still exist on this landscape today.
There's a historical and exciting journey that awaits you and your family here at Dundurn Castle. So take the Burlington Heights tour on your next family outing. For Inside City of Hamilton, I'm Kat Cullen. Kids aren't careless, they're carefree. Many children in the War Amps Champ program lost their limbs in accidents while playing near dangers in their very own neighborhoods. Through the award-winning Play Safe program, Champs warn all kids to spot the danger before they play.
Don't let it happen to you. Play safe.
Accidents happen in PEI and Nova Scotia, British Columbia. Accidents happen in Manitoba, they happen everywhere.
Meet Cody from Ontario. One day when he was playing, Cody fell into the path of a riding lawnmower. He was hurt by the blades and lost his left leg below the knee. As he grows up, he will make many trips to the clinic for new fittings and adjustments to his artificial leg. The War Amps will be there for Cody and his family, providing support every step of the way. Cody is a safety ambassador for the War Amps. He spreads the Play Safe message on TV.
Whatever game you play,
Play safe.
He speaks to children at schools.
play safe.
And he rides on the War Amps Play Safe float. All of this puts Cody in the winner's circle. The Play Safe float appears in parades in Ontario to remind kids that accidents can happen anywhere. Look for it at a parade near you.
Accidents happen in Mattawa, in Saskatoon, in Muscatub, and accidents happen in Moose Jaw too. They happen everywhere. Accidents happen anywhere. Kids beware, kids take care. Don't act foolish on a dare. Everyone play safe.
Play safe.
Hello Hamilton, welcome back to the Just Ask Bob show. On today's show, we're answering an email that came in with regards to your home's soffit ventilation. Old Hamilton home, back before they used aluminum, so the soffit was solid wood. In this case now, use your imagination. This is your home's attic space, or at least in my case, I'm underneath my prop. This is your home's exterior wall. This is your roof as it comes up. This would be your ceiling joist for your second floor. This is where your insulation's packed in. So what we have is cold zone, warm zone. You do not want the heat escaping going into the attic space. However, you do need breathing. So if you look here, at least in new construction, we've got a baffle. This baffle is designed to be a channel. So with the baffle here, you can pack your insulation up tight against it. Air is going to circulate. It's going to come in from the soffit. It's going to rise. It's going to take the heat out through the roof vents. Now let's take a moment. We'll show you the soffits on the other side. At the same time, I want you to remember, Hamilton, we do have a Facebook page. Just Ask Bob. Find us on Facebook. Like us for a chance to win, where Bob shows up to your home for a good part of the day to help teach you and motivate you on to start chipping away at your to-do list. Like us on Facebook, but send us the information. I want photos. I want to know not only what's the renovation or what's the to-do list and why it's not getting done. I want to know the details. So again, we're going to show up with a tool belt for you, full-size adult tool belt, not my 7-year-olds, and we're going to inspire you to start chipping away at your to-do list. Find us on Facebook and like us. Now, again, back to our prop here. The eaves drought's been removed. Obviously, there's no brick or siding or stucco. I've created this gem myself to try to really get you a bird's eye view into the inner workings of your home. Now, if you follow me to the bottom here, it really looks like this is a false sense of ventilation. And this is very common. 10 years as a contractor, I see this everywhere. So you look up at the home, whether it's a home you just bought or a home that you own, and you see the soffit's ventilated. So you're thinking air's getting in, it's taking the heat out of the attic, and it's escaping out the roof vents. Well, not quite. And let me show you why. Okay. Now, solid wood. And again, this is very common. Old Hamilton homes, that's how homes were originally built. Plywood underneath, or in really old homes, it was wooden boards, and then, of course, a wooden fascia. Now, when it comes time for the homeowner hiring somebody to come in with the aluminum, at least in this case, and in many Hamilton homes, they didn't cut out holes for ventilation. So let's take a moment to show you some of the items here. Now, this is what we just tore off. This is ventilated soffit, aluminum ventilated soffit. It comes with a factory baked on paint finish, which can last anywhere in excess of 30 to 50 years. Now, it's very lightweight, and this is the norm in new home construction now, probably for the last 15 to 20 years. But again, old Hamilton homes did not have this, and if you do want to install this on an older Hamilton home, you have to do cutouts. You have to use a 2.5-inch hole saw bit and make the proper cuts. Once you've made the cuts, you're going to install, now if you're not using long lengths of soffit to redo everything, then you're going to install simple soffit vents. Again, that's if you want to keep the wood look. But again, with wood, you have to paint, you have to scrape off all the peeling paint. You've got to do that every few years. So if you truly want to be maintenance free, you have to go with ventilated soffit. Now if we stay here for a moment and discuss soffit a little further, soffit comes in ventilated and solid sheets. Now again, look around your own home. It depends. Some builders, for whatever reason, they will have all the soffit ventilated. Others will stagger it. So they're going to have ventilated, solid, ventilated, solid. They're going to alternate it. Now, do you need it ventilated everywhere? No. Do you need it solid everywhere? Well, no. Having it solid everywhere is wrong. So what we're going to use, you need to have a very strong drill. You need to have a powerful motor. And again, if you want to zoom in here, we've got a 2.5-inch hole saw bit. Now, it doesn't have to be bimetal. The bimetal ones are expensive. By bimetal hole saw bits, it can go through not only wood, but steel as well. Now, you want to make sure you've got your safety glasses on. And again, if you're working in real life, you're on a ladder, make sure to tie yourself off and be safe. So we're going to set it on drill mode. I'm going to take a moment to make some marks. Now we only need to mark each edge, so we're going to go one hole here, one hole here. Okay, we're through. Now we've got to pull the, anytime you're using a hole saw, you've got to pull the the piece of wood out that you've just cut. So what helps is a flathead screwdriver. You'll see the hole saw has vertical slots all the way around. You want to pull on each side. Wiggle it out. Now we're going to make another one. Now, as you can see, that took some drilling. I don't build them fake or cheap. Although it's not quite the scale, it works for today's show. Now we're going to pull off the hole saw bit. Going to get a Robertson drill bit on. Now, very important, before I fasten the vent, you have to be made aware at home and you have to understand the science behind this. Now, we've got a black shingled roof, which is probably the worst color. Try to avoid black shingles. This will bake, literally bake in the summer heat. Now, the temperature in your attic will be very, very hot. You need cool air to come in, get under the soffit, get up inside the attic space, start drawing that heat out, and pull it out through the roof vent. Now, here's our vent. Oops. We're going to put it up for you. Again, line it up on the marks. Now again, you have choices. There's many homes where the soffit has been taken care of. There are a lot of people, whether it's a historical home, a Victorian, the architecture is important. There are people that are opposed to the modern look of aluminum soffit and fascia. And hey, that's fine. If you want to keep the authentic look of wood, you have to understand. Use a really good primer, really high quality paint, same thing for the fascia. But again, every so many years, you're going to have to scrape. But either way, if you do want to stay with the wood, that's fine. But you must bore in the holes and attach these. Now, you're going to attach them, I would say, every 5 or 6 feet along the length of the eaves troughs. That's fine. Or if you want to go maintenance-free, you're going to put on soffit that's ventilated. And you're also going to want to make sure that your fascia is also capped. You can see the way that it works. Here's the fascia. It's got a bend. Hence, the bend holds the soffit. And then you'd have J-trim or J-mold here holding it up. We're going to stop for a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to continue. Thank you.
In the 1930s, Jeff Nicklin was an all-star with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Running away down was Jeff Nicklin, away in the clear to receive the pass back.
This outstanding athlete, whose courage on the football field won him accolades, would go on to engage in a more dangerous occupation, leading paratroops into battle in World War II.
These men are the new, hard-hitting spearhead of the Allied armies.
The 1st Canadian Parachute Battalion was mobilized in July 1942. Nicklin became the training officer as the battalion prepared for its first battle action, the Allied invasion of Europe. The 1st Canadian Parachute Battalion had met all its objectives by midday on June 6th. Nicklin's leadership earned him a mention in dispatches, a military award for gallantry. Following the bloody battle that was Normandy, Major Nicklin was given command of the battalion. March 24th, 1945, Canadian paratroops were part of a massive assault across the Rhine River and deep into the heart of Germany. The area was brought under control of the Canadians within 2 hours of the landing. It was at this time that Commanding Officer Jeff Nicklin was reported missing.
36 hours after the attack, Nicklin was discovered. He had dropped into the trees directly above German entrenchments and never had a fighting chance.
After the war, the Parachute Battalion created the Jeff Nicklin Memorial Trophy to be awarded by the CFL to the most valuable player in the Western Conference. The trophy will, for all time, stand for courage and honor on the gridiron and on the battlefield.
Hello Hamilton, welcome back to the Just Ask Bob show. Let's do a little recap on today's show. The email came in. The email was on an older Hamilton home. We used our prop here as a simulation. These old homes back then, obviously that's before the creation of the residential use of soffit and fascia made out of aluminum. So as it still is now, everything back then was only made out of wood. So we always have some type of a 2x for your fascia, and in this case, 1/2-inch plywood for the soffit. Now, the reason for the email was they wanted to put aluminum ventilated soffit on, but as the case was, they have to drill in the holes. So it's always very important to understand you have to have, you know, all the different components of your home have to work together. They have to work in harmony, so to speak. So in this case, we used a 2.5-inch hole saw. We cut 2.5-inch holes. We installed venting underneath. Now the cool breeze, it's going to get up, get inside the attic. It's going to pull out the hot air through the roofing vents. So it's very important that all of these systems work together. Now with soffit, as we've talked about throughout the show, you have two choices. You have ventilated and you have solid soffit. So if you want to install this complete, you can actually even pull out the wooden board completely. That's not needed. Brand new homes don't even have a wood soffit underneath. They have continuous layer ventilated soffit. So it's very important. Everything works together and it works together properly, and you're going to have your shingles last a long time. Now, let's take another email that came in. I think we still have time for one more. Dear Bob, I've just purchased a home, and it looks like 2 of the second floor bathroom exhaust fan ducting up in the attic is not insulated. Bob, it's a very short run to the exterior of the roof. Can I leave it alone as it is, or do I have to change the ducting to insulated ducting? Patricia, Stony Creek, Ontario. Thank you, Patricia. And the quick, easy answer is yes, you must change it. Now, let me sort of try to give you the building science behind this. Again, just like when we talked about earlier in the show about soffit ventilation, the attic is an exterior zone of the home. Don't think of your attic as having anything to do with the heated or climatized or air-conditioned rooms within your home. If it's 25 below zero outside Celsius, that's exactly how cold it should be in your attic. So the problem is you have ducting that runs through the attic. So when you're taking a shower or a bath, that exhaust fan's spinning. It's sucking up the moist, hot air, and it's taking it through the attic and expelling it out the duct. Now, you've got 25 below zero in the attic, and you've got this warm, moist air that's going through within the uninsulated pipe, anywhere possibly 15, 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. This hot and cold meeting together is going to cause condensation. The water is going to drip into the insulation. You're going to have mold, you're going to have an issue. Now, I've seen this in a lot of attics, and actually for Patricia here, I'm even surprised at least they did put some type of ducting through. The biggest mistake homeowners make, or at least people buy a home and they find it that way, is the ductwork doesn't even exit or terminate out the roof. Now, let me show you what you're supposed to use. In this case here, we've got 4-inch insulated ducting. Now again, Patricia didn't specify on exactly what model or what the requirements are for her duct. Now this is 4-inch, which is most common in new home construction. But if you buy a real high quality exhaust fan, a lot of these exhaust fans are worth anywhere from $30 to $50. You flick the switch, they sound like an airplane propeller taking off. They make noise, that's all they do. They wouldn't even hold up. I tell homeowners, your toilet paper, cut off 1 or 2 squares, see if it'll hold it. A good high quality fan should hold 3 full sheets of a paper towel. That's when you know you've got quality. Now those high quality units, they require ducting anywhere from 5-inch, 6-inch, or even 8-inch ducting. So in this particular case, regardless of the size, let me take this apart to show you how it's made. Now that's the ducting itself. So your hot air, your moist hot air is going to flow through here. We have a layer of insulation. We also have a vapor barrier. This is very important. This will keep the hot from meeting the cold. Hence, you're not going to have moisture and condensation and have them end up with a mold problem inside of your attic. So this is what you must use to terminate. Let me think now what you're going to terminate. Any and all exhaust fans. You're also going to be terminating your clothes dryer venting. If for some reason, let's say it's a home that has a second floor laundry room, then you would be using this through the attic space. Now, not only this show, we have an entire season 1 from last year and already a few episodes for this new season. You can watch us online, visit our website, the easiest website to remember, Hamilton, www.justaskbob.com. Visit our website, pause, rewind, fast forward, anything you want to learn. And if it's not on a previous show, I want your emails. If you've got a question, let's take, for example, a faucet. We actually did have a few questions on faucets. Even last season, I didn't have a chance to get to it. Now, like Moen calls it, buy it for looks, buy it for life, regardless of the advertising. I've been installing Moen faucets for the last 10 years. So as far as homeowners, honestly, this would be the easiest faucet for a homeowner to install because it even comes with some of the tools that you'll need. A very high quality unit, lifetime warranty, and what I appreciate about the Moen faucet is there's a variety of lines. If you need a faucet for your kitchen, if you don't mind it not being the fancy pull-out head, you can get the Moen that starts as little as $69.99. Right to the Integra here, which is about $150. So I don't care if it's a faucet question, a roofing question, insulating, ducting, more tiling projects. Send us your emails, and if it's a good one, it'll be featured on this show. Now let's take a moment now for one of Bob's top picks. We introduced this last season, and I get a lot of people calling in and sending emails that they want more top picks. In this case, it's LePage, No More Nails. Now, I've been using this for nearly 10 years. Now, we've talked before of one of my other top picks, not to get the two confused. Both are made by LePage. One of the previous ones was PL, polyurethane construction adhesive. That's for framing. That's for putting together brick, block, and stone. That's at the top. That's heavy duty. Now, in this case, No More Nails. I love it because of the instant grab. Now, what projects could you use this on? Okay, let's talk about baseboards. I'll tell you right now, we did a kitchen some time ago. We've got the miter saw out. We're cutting all these baseboards that go around the kitchen. We've got to sink them all with the nails. Then we've got to nail them in, sink in the nails, and putty them in a little spot like behind the fridge or the stove. Or again, for a homeowner that doesn't want to be fussing with that many nails, because every nail you sink, you got to get out the pink putty, do 3 coats, sanding in between. This is great, beautiful, great instant grab for baseboards. So again, whether it's baseboards, wood, plastic, brick, metal, glass, wouldn't trust it too much on the brick. But again, experiment with it. It is one of my top picks, and you'll find hundreds of uses for it around your own home. Thank you for tuning in. Whether we're coming in the future with roofing repairs, shingle installations, tune in every month for the Just Ask Bob Show. Thank you, Hamilton.